All right, hello everyone. Good afternoon. How are you doing? You all awake and had good lunch? All right. Well, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here for a variety of reasons, but especially because LA was home to me for 20 years. I love this city. I love this state, even in the rain, and I will always consider it my home regardless of where I live. And actually, when I first moved here, it was to begin my career with Toyota, and I fully embraced the California lifestyle. I moved to the beach. I paid a ridiculous amount of money for an apartment with a peekaboo ocean view from the master bedroom closet. That is a true story. I took surfing lessons. I bought a Thomas guide, you remember those, to navigate the freeways. And then I bought this. I bought a Prius. So anyone who's ever lived here knows this from experience, that California is the trendsetter. The state sets the tone for so many things: fashion, culture, and as evidenced with our group here today, environmental advocacy. And in fact, California sets the tone for environmental action across the country, and in some regards, actually the world. And it's a state that focuses on cutting-edge concepts to help build towards a better future for all of us. And that's where we find ourselves today, looking toward our future and trying to navigate that path forward. For our environment, the goal for Toyota, California, and all of us is pretty clear. It's carbon neutrality. So public enemy number one is carbon. Now, how we as a society take on this challenge, well, that has been the source of much debate. But I think we can all agree that carbon is the enemy, and the fight is definitely now. The tricky part is this battlefield is changing constantly. And some of you may have been here at last year's summit when my colleague Mike Tripp spoke, and he shared a personal story about his family and kind of their hesitancy and their lack of understanding of electrified vehicles. And Mike found himself in a place that I think is familiar to many of us in this industry. He was trying to explain plug-in hybrid technology to his dad, who was a bit skeptical because that technology was unfamiliar to him. And look, I get it. New technology can be very, very confusing, and we're not making it any easier because there are acronyms galore. So we have ZEV, we have BEV, we have PHEVs. The list is endless. And that doesn't even touch on fuel cell electric vehicles or those that run on hydrogen like Armor I, or the long-standing technology ICE, which is internal combustion engines. And that is just a fancy way of saying that they run solely on gasoline. And then EV charging. So let's talk about that. We have level 1, level 2, level 3. I mean, it sounds like we're playing a video game, doesn't it? It's confusing. So mobility is changing for all of us, and that includes companies like Toyota. And with this change, education about new and emerging technology is absolutely crucial. And Mike's story illustrated this, but I want to actually build on that theme and take it a step further to discuss inclusion. And inclusion, well, it can be a very personal thing. Its meaning is often unique to an individual or to a group. For me, it's kind of simple. I like to keep it simple. Inclusion makes us better, stronger, smarter, more creative, and also more productive. Now, inclusion leads to growth, and in today's fluid environment, whether personal or professional, if you aren't growing, then you're falling behind. And I would also argue that it's crucial to navigating our path forward, because inclusion leads to engagement, engagement leads to activism, and activism definitely leads to change. You can't engage with someone if they aren't included. And you can't elicit change if someone or a group is not part of that discussion, and that's what we need to do. And I'm proud to say that Toyota's approach to inclusion and diversity, well, it is ingrained in our DNA. We value our team members dearly, and we respect individuality for each and every person. We celebrate inclusion and diversity, and I am convinced that we are stronger because of that. We take that same approach with our customers. Why? Because it means that no one is excluded. No one gets left behind. And that is the core of carbon neutrality and our goal with regard to carbon neutrality. So at Toyota, Beyond Zero represents the battle against carbon, and it means it's going beyond zero emissions and beyond that carbon neutrality. It's more than just our vehicles. It's looking at every part of our operations, from manufacturing, facilities, logistics, dealerships, really everything that we do. And the goal is to have a net positive impact on our entire operations globally. So not just here in the United States, but across the globe. And as it relates to our lineup, Beyond Zero means offering a variety of electrified vehicles that are affordable, accessible, and meet the needs of people now, also in the future as well. And it means leveraging all technology: hybrids, plug-in hybrids, BEVs, and hydrogen fuel cell technology. Our overarching goal is to reduce carbon emissions as much as possible, as fast as possible. The more options that are available, the more people that are included in that effort, and the greater the results we're going to get. Now, the future is here, and it is electric. There's absolutely no question about that. And you've heard a lot of big numbers thrown around about investments in electrification, and Toyota is investing as well. We committed $70 billion globally to vehicle electrification through the end of the decade. That's just the end of the decade. We're going to go well beyond that. And by 2030, we'll produce as many as 3.5 million battery electric vehicles annually. We have a new battery plant in North Carolina, and that will be open in 2025. And we are actively exploring sustainability efforts to work towards creating a closed-loop system where our batteries are reused, remanufactured, and recycled. So sustainability is a fundamental value in our Beyond Zero approach. And we're excited to have our all-electric BZ4X in the market, with more to come. You see it over here. And many of you remember Toyota pioneered electrical vehicles. So it didn't start with BZ. It started well before that. In fact, we've sold more than 22 million of them, more than any other automaker combined, since the introduction of Prius over 2 decades ago. California has been the market leader for electric vehicles, and since then, California is again leading the charge, this time with electric vehicle infrastructure, and you all are well ahead of most states in this regards. Roughly 29% of the entire fast chargers in the country, they are located right here. And this is truly an inflection point, and we're in the midst of great change. And as we're building out this future together, we have to face a certain truth. That is, not everyone can participate in this fight against carbon in the same way. In much of the nation, charging infrastructure is still in its infancy. So both population-dense areas and rural areas need more chargers and more access. It's coming, but it's definitely going to take some time. Now, pricing, that's still a roadblock for some consumers as well. But this too will normalize. But it highlights the fact that we need immediate solutions for more people. All right, so this is pretty interesting. Did you know that the average transaction price of a BEV is around $61,000? $61,000. It's a lot of money. The average price of a non-BEV is about $49,000. So our BEV, the BZ4X, has a starting price of $42,000, and that's about $7,000 less than the average price of a non-BEV. But even that price point isn't attainable for some consumers. That's why we offer electrified vehicles like the Corolla Hybrid that start at less than $23,000. And in fact, we have 4 electrified options starting under $30,000, so a bit more affordable. And this is what Beyond Zero looks like, including everyone in the fight today. Not in the future, but today. Offering a portfolio of electrified vehicles is not just about inclusion, it's also about careful management of our resources. Dr. Gil Pratt, who you see here, is our lead scientist at the Toyota Research Institute, and he provides kind of an interesting perspective on managing these precious resources. As an example, let's look at the impact of adding just one 320-mile BEV to a fleet of 100 non-electrified vehicles. Now, it certainly will help. It's going to improve on emissions with about a 1% reduction for the entire fleet. All right, for the same amount of resources it takes to build that single 320-mile BEV, we can instead build 6 plug-in hybrids. Okay, what happens then? Well, this would multiply the carbon emissions reductions by almost 5.5 times. Take that a step further. the same amount of resources, and now we build 90 hybrids like our Prius. We multiply the impact of those resources on carbon reduction by 35 times compared to building just one BEV. So what it comes down to is offering solutions for different situations and different needs. For those with a typical average commute of about 32 miles a day, plug-in hybrids, they may be ideal because in theory, you can travel only using electricity. But for those with a longer commute who need more range and have access to home and public charging, a BEV, that might be the better option for them. Those without sufficient access to charging but need more range may find a hybrid perfectly fits their needs. Diverse problems call for diverse solutions, as Dr. Pratt would say. And our goal is to not leave anyone behind as we are building towards this future. Inclusion means we provide electrified options for all, not just for some. Now, from inclusion comes engagement. And from a marketing perspective, because that's what I do, engagement comes in a variety of ways, be it advertising, education, or through the community. And for advertising, it's very simple. It's just getting the word out on every channel that we have. Education provides general awareness of the problems, which in turn allows the opportunity to explore solutions. And as solutions are discussed, communities share those stories with one another, and it spreads the word so others can experience it for themselves. Engagement then hopefully leads to activism. And if you think back to the launch of Prius over 20 years ago, it was thanks to many of you in this room who experienced the vehicle early on and then shared that with others to help communicate how they could participate in that goal of carbon neutrality. But even then, the growth and acceptance of hybrids, it didn't happen overnight. It was definitely a journey. Now, fast forward to today, and I'm happy to report that nearly 1/4 of our new vehicle sales are electrified powertrains. And the timeline for that adoption, it's been accelerating in recent years. And for some, like Mike's father, with a skeptical eye towards hybrids, the adoption and understanding of technology, it isn't at the same rate for everyone. So education, communication, and activism brings the process of inclusion full circle. And at the end of the day, there is no one-size-fits-all approach. A diverse set of problems requires a diverse set of solutions, and it's ultimately about inclusion. Leaving no one behind in the fight against carbon is the key to success because winning this battle requires the participation of all of us, not just some of us, not just the ones in this room. We are so grateful for our partnership with EMA and the shared vision of carbon neutrality. 22 years going strong. We're very, very proud of that. And we look forward to continuing this battle together. And I thank all of you for your time here today. It's been a pleasure.